I know that when I first got my IUD, I heard a lot of mixed reviews. I heard people who said that their IUD popped out or that it was able to be felt during intercourse, and I heard that it made people gain a lot of weight that they didn't want to gain. And so I was super nervous, but I was at the point in my life where I was like, if I don't change what's happening with my birth control method right now, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. So I was more than willing to just give anything a shot at that point. If you're new here, I'm Taylor, and I am a sexual health educator and a nerd about making sexual health a pleasurable activity. So first of all, I wanted to give a quick disclaimer and just say that this video is about my experience and my experience only with the IUD. Everybody has a different body, and their body might like some things and dislike other things. So just because I had a particular experience with this IUD doesn't necessarily mean that it will be the exact same experience for you. However, I do know that it's really important for people who are exploring this option to be able to go on YouTube and read and learn about other people's experiences and really get to know what that's like from the perspective of another person. So first of all, what is an IUD? So an IUD stands for an intrauterine device, and it's this little T thing that gets inserted into your uterus by a healthcare provider. Once you get it inserted, you can leave it for a long time. So there are the non-hormonal ones, which are the copper ones, and this one works because copper creates an environment that's toxic to sperm. And then there are the hormonal ones, which is the one that I'm going to be talking about today, and that one is a slow release of a hormone that is a very effective form of birth control. So the first thing I wanted to state, and I have kind of stated it before, but which IUD brand do I have? So I have a hormonal one and I have the Mirena. I didn't do a lot of research when I picked this. This is just the one that was recommended to me because I had a lot of really bad cramps, which I'll get into a little bit later, and potential undiagnosed endometriosis. And this is what was recommended and what might be effective based off of research. I have mentioned that I have had an IUD taken out and then reinserted. I got the Mirena a second time just because it was really effective and I've had no issues with it. So I got the IUD because I was experiencing really severe periods. So this was horrible cramps. I would just be sheet white. I would feel dizzy. I would feel like I was blacking out. I remember taking days off of work and having to leave work because it was just so severe. Like, it was really bad. Going in and getting painkillers to relieve my pain, but it didn't really touch it. And I was in the process of trying to get referrals for gynecology and trying to figure out what was going on with me. And I knew that it was going to be a long road. Fun fact, it's been many years, I think 6 or 7 years, and I still haven't gotten that appointment. We love the healthcare system. But yeah, so I wanted to be able to have something to just try out. I was ready to try out anything, and this was something that the opportunity arose, and I was like, okay, let's give it a go. On to my experience. So I had the IUD originally inserted around 2020. I had to get it removed. It's a long story that isn't relevant to this video, in early this year, so 2026, and then I had to get it reinserted a few weeks later after that, and so I've had it for a number of months now that it's been reinserted. So the actual experience of getting the IUD inserted was hell. Like, it was really bad. It was horrific pain both times. I don't remember a lot of what happened the first time. I just remember that it was painful. But I can talk about what happened more recently because I have a little bit more of a clear memory about it. So I found that it was really, really nice to be able to talk to the doctor ahead of time. However, she called me the night before. I was supposed to go in early the next morning at 9 a.m. and I was worried about her call. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Are they going to give me any kind of painkiller? Are they going to give me instructions? What's going to happen? Because it had been a while since I've had one in. She offered some solutions for the pain. So she gave a little pill that would be inserted into the vagina the night before in order to soften the area and hopefully make it a little bit easier for insertion and a little less pain. And then she had also offered me some sort of painkiller, but she didn't describe it very well and it felt a little bit intimidating and I wasn't sure about the cost, so I ended up just foregoing that and then planning to get some acetaminophen to, make sure that I could get through it. So that was what happened with the painkillers. I came in at about 9 a.m. in the morning. The doctor was really, really great and went over what was going to happen because of course I've had it happen before, but number one, it wasn't explained very well. And number two, I didn't really remember much. So she actually showed me the IUD. She showed me what the insertion looked like. I was able to feel confident about what was going to happen and feel a little bit more in control, which I like. This is not always everybody's experience. I was lucky to have a doctor who cared about pain management and who did explain what was going to happen, and I know that not everybody gets that opportunity, which is a shame. The actual insertion of the IUD was relatively quick, but it was extremely, extremely painful. It felt like a horrible, horrible cramp in my stomach. And then directly after the procedure, I felt very, very strong cramps, and I felt quite weak. So I asked for a little bit of water and I kind of let myself calm down and recover afterwards, and the pain and the large cramps subsided for a little bit and then came back up again after a little bit. And what they felt like after that point was just really, really bad period cramps. It lasted for about 2 or 3 hours. I remember I had a nap and then woke up and it was a lot better. And I remember afterwards I went out and I was shoveling snow. So it was really, really bad pain in the moment. I really don't want to mislead anybody with that. Obviously everybody's different and I could have taken stronger pain management. But yeah, after a while it was okay. I experienced a little bit of cramping for the next couple of days, and then I did experience bleeding, not a lot, but an okay amount, kind of like a period, for the next couple of weeks. I was a little bit worried about the bleeding just because it was a little bit more than what I had expected and what I experienced the first time. And so the doctor let me come in. We just double checked that it had the correct placement, that everything was looking good, and we just determined that some bodies might bleed a little bit more and have those cramps kind of go on for a little bit longer than others. So as for side effects, I have not had anything. I really have inserted the IUD and have just kind of lived my life. I haven't noticed that there has been any kind of mood changes, although it's been a really, really long time. It would be hard to tell because I went through basically my early 20s until my late 20s with the same method. But yeah, I haven't found anything negative just for myself. I have found that it has been a very, very effective form of birth control. I haven't found any anything that would deter me from continuing to use this, other than it's just very painful to get it inserted. And it didn't happen very long ago, because I'm still talking a lot about the pain. It was not fun. It was a horrible experience in that way. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, you go through this and then you don't have to do it for 8 years, because that's how good how long the Mirena is good for. And then you kind of forget about it by that point, and it's a really bad day, but then you can kind of go off the next day and the day after that, and it's fine. So I wanted to put sort of a pros and a cons, or a positive and negative, in this video, and I'll start off with the negatives, because obviously I haven't had a lot of bad side effects or anything that I've really been able to say in this video so far, so we'll start off with that. Number one, it won't be a surprise, is pain during insertion. I can't sugarcoat it. It wasn't fun. If anybody has had an IUD insertion and it was not horrible pain, please let me know. I did not like it, and yes, next time I will be taking stronger pain medications. Another negative that I found, and this is more so on the everyday life, things that you can and can't do while you are using the IUD, I can't use menstrual cups. So I previously loved to use a Diva cup. I find them a really great option. I feel that they reduce a lot of anxiety that I've had around wearing tampons, because of course a lot of us should be at least somewhat cognizant of toxic shock syndrome. So I really like the menstrual cups. I find them a really great option. You can't use those when you have an IUD, because the suction could actually pull at it and potentially move it around or dislodge it, and it's just not worth the risk. I actually didn't know that until recently, so I was using a menstrual cup, and nothing happened, nothing moved out of place, but I did find that out later on, and I was like, oh, that's not the greatest thing. So if you really like to use the menstrual cup, that's something to keep in mind. Another one is, it has reduced almost all of my cramps and my pain, but a negative is that I do have an irregular period. So it is kind of hard to use my period as a way to look at my health and be able to make informed decisions about what's happening with me. So, I mean, I would say that that's also a negative, but it also comes with positives as well. So an irregular period, for me, I maybe have one period a year, and it's very, very light. Usually for the first couple of periods after you first get inserted, they'll be quite strong. And then, at least for me, it went down to something very, very light and almost unnoticeable. Some months I won't bleed, some months I will. The last negative that I'll put for the IUD is that it is very expensive. So I just want to say outright, I am in Canada, so it's important to note that my experience might be a little bit different than yours if you're in a different country, but we still do have a payment that we have to pay for the actual device. So what happens is, at least for me, and at least in my area, you go and you pick up the device from the pharmacist. So the doctor will send a prescription over, you go and pick up this big box, and you can either buy it outright, or you might help pay for it with your insurance. So I am lucky to have a job with insurance, and I was able to pay for a large portion of it, but I still had to pay almost $200 out of pocket. And if I was to pay for the whole device, it would have been over $400 Canadian. So it is expensive, it is pricey. I will note that if you are low income, there are some nonprofits and community clinics that are able to find ways to give people these IUDs. So do a little bit of research around. There are some places that might be able to assist you with that. But a big negative of the IUD is just how expensive it is all at one time. So for positives, I've had a really positive experience. It's part of why I'm making this video, because there are a lot of people who have had negative experiences, and this is not to take away from it, but I do think that a lot of people get scared out of giving it a try and seeing if it might work for them. And oftentimes the reason why there are videos or there are reviews and things like that is because people have had a negative experience. And so you're going to see more of those things than people who are like, I inserted this 7 years ago and I'm just chilling. Like, it's been fine, right? So yeah, I've had a positive experience. It's changed my life in a lot of ways. I now no longer have to take multiple days off of work sick. I'm no longer feeling like I'm going to faint and canceling plans all the time because of my period. So to narrow down the positives for me, number one has been very, very reduced symptoms of menstrual cramps. While I sometimes get cramps, it's rare. It's very, very rare. And I'm really happy to have had that experience. Another thing that's nice is it's just one of those things where you're able to insert it and then forget about it. So I don't have to always remember to go to the pharmacy and get a new prescription of birth control pills and set alarms at what time I'm going to take it and remember to take it and, all of these sorts of things. It just didn't work for my brain. It was difficult. I missed so many pills. Fun fact, I've actually become pregnant while I was on birth control pills in the past, just because I wasn't using it in an effective way. So I think that this is super effective, and actually, I've had no issues with that. I just live my life, which is nice. I like that. Overall, I've had a really positive experience with the IUD. There is some negatives, but just for my own personal preference, I found that the positives outweigh the negatives. So if you are looking into getting an IUD, feel free to send a message and ask any questions. And if you do have an IUD, feel free to share in the comments below what your experience has been with it, because I do think that a lot of people want to hear personal experiences on top of researching and on top of talking to their healthcare provider. It's really important to hear real and raw experiences with these things, and it's not something that everybody talks about. So have a wonderful day and all the best, and I will chat with you soon.